Liam is an overworked officer drone who hasn't had a good night's sleep in almost 10 years. His work life is more toxic than reality television shows, so the only thing keeping him going right now is his loving wife and daughter. Once Liam returns home for the day, he is greeted by Mika and asked about their daughter Kanami. Mika tells him Kanami has already gone to bed, but she spent the whole day begging for a dog. Apparently, she saw a Shiba over at her friend's house recently, and she hasn't been able to get over it. Liam isn't sure they can afford to get a dog right now, but after looking at his sleeping daughter, he decides it might be worth it to get a dog if it will make Kanami happy, even if he has to take on a few extra shifts at work. The next day, he takes Kanami to a pet shop to get her a dog, and she looks really happy. Mika is honestly surprised that Liam agreed to get a dog since it would add even more work to his plate, but he's fine with it. He believes that as long as he keeps his wife and daughter happy, he can make it through any challenges, but he couldn't have been more wrong about that. The next day at work, Liam gets yelled at by his boss for not delivering a report to him on time. Liam reminds the boss that he sent the report in on Thursday, but on Thursday the boss was at a club with thick Latinas, so he didn't see the message. And somehow, he still finds a way to blame Liam for it. At work, Liam faces constant abuse either from his irresponsible boss or from his subordinates who don't respect him. They constantly take credit for things that he accomplishes and blame him for things that he didn't do, so his work life is like an active minefield. But getting to come home every day and see his wife and daughter always manage to lift his spirits. However, the next day, while Liam is on the train to work, he receives a message from his friend Nita. Nita is telling him about the latest Gundam that just dropped and asks him to help buy it for him. Liam gets a chuckle out of how much Nita loves his Gundams, but since they are friends, he decides to go buy one. He gets off the train and uses Google Maps to try finding the store, but he isn't familiar with the area, so he ends up getting lost. He starts looking around to see if he can spot any landmarks, but that's when he spots his wife on a date with a random guy. Liam is in disbelief at first because Mika told him she was going to drop Kanami off at sword practice today, yet here she is. Later that evening, Liam gets home from work and asks Mika what she did today. Mika lies and says all she did was drop Kanami off at sword practice, so Liam is about to reveal that he saw her out on a date, but he ends up pretending that nothing is wrong. He doesn't want to ruin his happy family life, so he starts trying to convince himself that he must have misunderstood what he saw. After all, there's no way Mika would ever cheat on him. He decides to go on a break to clear his mind, so he tries to put his computer on standby, but that doesn't seem to be working, so he is forced to turn it off until he gets back. He takes a stroll through the city and wanders over to the spot where he saw Mika on a date earlier, and he is relieved to see that she's not here today. But all that relief vanishes when he hears Mika on the phone with her suspected affair partner, and she even brought Kanami with her. Liam tries to maintain hope that the guy is just a friend, but then he hears Kanami call the man Papa, and his world practically shatters. He goes back to work and tries to convince himself that his wife isn't cheating on him. Maybe that was just a really good friend who likes to roleplay as Kanami's father when Liam isn't around. Just then, his boss comes over and starts yelling at Liam for slacking off, so Liam explains that he is just waiting for his computer to turn on. It's been having problems with the standby mode, so for security reasons, Liam has to turn it off every time he goes on break. But his boss just yells at him even more and says he should just skip all his breaks. Just then, he gets a call from Mika, and she tells him that Kanami got into a horrible accident, so Liam frantically rushes down to the hospital. Once he gets there, he asks Miko where Kanami is, and she tells him she's already in the operating room. Just then, the doctor comes out and asks if the two of them are Kanami's parents. They both say yes, so he tells them that he needs one of them to donate blood to Kanami and asks what their blood groups are. Liam says he is AB positive and Mika says she is O negative, so the doctor asks Mika to come into the operating room for the blood transfusion. Liam asks the doctor why it has to be Mika, so he explains that Kanami is also O negative, so Liam's blood wouldn't be a match for her. While the surgery is going on, Liam does a little Googling and discovers that it is physically impossible for Kanami to have an O blood type when he is AB, so the only plausible explanation is that she isn't really his daughter. He's finally had enough, so he confronts Mika about it and asks if Kanami is really his daughter or not. But then Mika starts gaslighting him and says she is the one who should be mad here because Liam doesn't care about this family at all. She says he is never around, so Liam explains that it's because he always has to work late, but Mika refuses to listen. She tells Liam that his job is worthless because he never gets raises or promotions, so he can't afford to give her the kind of life she wants. Liam can't believe what he's hearing, but Mika continues and yells that in the 10 years that they've been married, she almost never gets to see Liam, so she's had to raise Kanami all by herself. She's conveniently ignoring the part about Kanami not being Liam's child, though. She tells Liam that he has never been a part of this household, and she's going to take Kanami and leave. Liam asks her where she plans to go, but Mika ignores him and knocks on Kanami's door, telling her that they are going to leave. Liam tries to stop her, but Mika pulls herself away and he is getting desperate. So he yells that he has always done his best for Kanami and begs her not to leave him, but then Kanami tells him she likes her other father better and he loses all hope. The next day, Liam goes into work and he is still devastated by Mika and Kanami's betrayal. But then he gets called over by his boss and is accused of embezzling company funds. Liam denies this, but the boss clearly has a record of 50 million yen being sent to a random account and the logs are from Liam's computer, so he's fired on the spot. After losing his job, Mika used it as an excuse to file for divorce and even sued him for child support even though Kanami isn't his daughter. In order to avoid jail time for the alleged embezzling, Liam agreed to pay the 50 million yen back by getting a job as a construction worker, but realistically he's going to die long before he ever pays that off. His life is pretty much over now, and the only semblance of joy he has left is from Nida. He sends Liam a message about the latest Gundam episode, so Liam is about to send a message saying he'd love to watch it with him, but then he deletes it because he doesn't want Nida to find out about how sad his life has become. He tries to stay hopeful and believes that if he just works hard enough, then his life will surely become better. But then while he is eating his lunch, he coughs up some blood and he realizes bronchitis Kub is coming for him. That night, he tries to get some sleep, but his bloody cough is getting worse and he can't even seek professional help because he can't afford the treatment. He's forced to just sit in his bed and await his inevitable death. But just as light begins to fade from his body, a light appears above him and starts showing him visions. The vision reveals that it was his boss who embezzled the 50 million yen from Liam's computer, and it was also the same boss who Mika had been cheating on him with. And all that stuff Mika said earlier about feeling neglected turns out to have been a total lie because she always saw Liam as nothing more than an insignificant worm that she could milk for his money. She was even part of the plan to frame Liam for embezzling the money from the company. Liam is heartbroken and can't believe what he is seeing is real, but a mysterious man tells him that it's all true. He asks Liam if he is really going to let them get away with such despicable behavior, and Liam has reached his limit, so he swears that he will make them pay for what they have done, even if it's the last thing he does. The man loves the pure rage coming from Liam right now, so he's glad he decided to come visit him, but he never introduced himself, so Liam asks him who he is supposed to be and why he is here. The man explains that he just happened to take an interest in Liam because he is a good man, but Liam doesn't seem amused because living a good life left him with nothing. If he could go back, he would live his life selfishly and prioritize himself above all else. The man is pleased to hear this, so he informs Liam that he's actually here to offer him a chance to go to another world, and all Liam needs to do is choose the world he wants to go to. For all Liam knows, this might just be a hallucination he is having on his deathbed, but if he is really being given the option of choosing a new world, he wants to make it count. He recalls hearing Nida mention something about another world before, and there's a Gundam world, so he decides to go with that. This is a world of both sci-fi and magic, and it is heavily influenced by royals and nobles, so there's a chance that Liam might end up as a peasant on a farm somewhere. But since the man likes him, he says he will reincarnate Liam as the son of a count who rules a planet to make things easier for him. Liam is glad to hear that his new life will be better than his current one, so with his dying breath, he signs the isekai contract and his soul is sent to the new world. On planet Hydra, it is officially Liam's 5th birthday, so his mother has organized a party for him. She also has a special present for him, so she tells Liam to follow her and activates a floating spell beneath her feet. Liam does the same, and once they get to the next room, he finds a giant cake and a huge box next to it. Liam eagerly unwraps his gift and finds a cube, so his mother explains that it's the character customization for his very own AI maid. He can use this remote to select any features he wants the maid to have, and it will be sent to a manufacturing company to be produced. Other customizable features include the ears, the mouth, and several other body parts that need to be blurred out. Liam asks her why she's giving a 5-year-old such a thing, but she says it is very important. His father then comes over and he says he has a special gift for Liam as well. The entirety of the Banfield estate. Liam is shocked to hear that his father is really willing to hand over the entire estate to a 5-year-old. Liam asks if his father is really serious about making him the new count, and he confirms it. But there's just one tiny condition Liam needs to agree to first. After he hands the estate over to Liam, he wants to move into a villa with his wife and live out the rest of his days in peace. So he tells Liam that he needs to agree to give him an allowance every month to receive the estate. Liam is so blinded by the prospect of power that he doesn't realize how weird it is that his father is willing to hand everything over to a literal infant. So when his father pulls out a contract for Liam to sign, he just signs it without reading the contract. Once he is done, his father takes the contract and says he and his wife will be leaving now. But Liam still doesn't realize that he most likely just got scammed. He decides to just ignore the suspicious parts and focus on the fact that he is officially a count now, and he plans to abuse the power of a count as much as possible to make sure no one ever screws him over again. And he never would have made it here if it weren't for the guy, so he's very thankful to him. However, Liam really shouldn't have trusted a guy who literally feeds off sadness and suffering. Right after Liam was sent to the other world, the man decides to cause a little more suffering before he returns to his realm, so he turns his attention to Mika and Liam's boss. They are still busy laughing it up in the restaurant, and Liam's boss is joking that he feels a little bad for ruining Liam's life like this, but Mika tells him she feels no sympathy for him. After all, he deserves to rot away for wasting 10 years of her life. All of a sudden, a group of police officers surround the boss and tell him that he is under arrest. The boss tries to claim that this must be a mistake, but the police have seen the camera footage of him framing Liam for the embezzlement, so they are going to lock him away for a long time. And now that her sugar daddy is going to prison, Mika is going to be completely broke and miserable. And the guide is reveling in all the suffering he has caused. Now all that's left is to transport Liam's soul to the other world, and he's going to make sure Liam suffers even more than he did in this world. He wants to savor every bit of Liam's negative emotions once he realizes how bad his life is going to be, and the lifespans of people in that world are a lot longer, so Liam will have to suffer for centuries over there. Meanwhile, over in the new world, a planet is currently under attack from the ghost pirates. But just when the captain thinks they are about to win, a bunch of his men suddenly blow up. And amidst all the chaos, he spots Lieb's Princess Knight just floating there menacingly. Christiana is the first princess of the Holy Kingdom of Lieb, and she is an extraordinary fighter. So once she joins the battle, the pirates begin dropping like flies. With her help, the Lieb army begins pushing the pirates back, but even after the pirates start retreating, Christiana orders her soldiers to continue attacking because they need to make an example out of those foolish pirates. While that's going on, Liam has just received his eye maid and he is really excited, but he wasn't expecting it to come in a doll package. His butler tells him that all he needs to do to open the package is touch it, so Liam does that and the maid lands on the ground. She introduces herself to Liam as Amagi, and his butler tells him that from today onward, Amagi will serve as his personal aide. He tells Liam that she'll need to undergo maintenance once every week, but aside from that, she can be active 24/7 to take care of Liam's needs. But Liam stopped listening a while ago because he is too busy inspecting the assets. The butler asks him what he's doing, so Liam explains that he is just checking to make sure the manufacturing company built her with the double Ds he requested. Even if that's the case, the butler tells Liam that he shouldn't do such things in front of other people, so Liam asks Amagi to come with him to his room so he can do a thorough inspection of every part of her body. And the butler is really worried about Liam's innocence. A couple of hours later, Liam is getting a shoulder massage from Amagi, and the butler asks Liam what he did in here, but Liam tells him not to worry about it. He may look like a 5-year-old, but his mind is actually 36. However, the butler tells him that 36 is still practically a child. Liam is shocked to hear this, so Amagi explains the average lifespan in this world is 600 years, and you're not considered an adult until you're around 100. Liam had no idea that the lifespans here were so long, but he's happy about it because a long life will give him plenty of time to try a lot of things, and he'd love to have Amagi by his side the entire time. Liam's butler warns him that it's not a good idea to get too close to Amagi since the Empire as a whole despises AI, so if people see him being friendly with an AI, then it could start bad rumors about him. Liam doesn't understand why people would hate AI, so he asks the butler to explain. He tells Liam that long ago humans were nearly wiped out by AI in the Great Skynet War. They were enslaved and nearly driven to extinction. But in those dark times, a group of people bravely fought back against the AI and restored the freedom of humanity. Those were the same people who founded the Empire, so it is pretty understandable that the Empire's nobility doesn't like AI very much. But if all that is true, then why would his mother give him an AI for his birthday? The butler says he was told to keep it a secret, but since Liam is the new count, he orders the butler to tell him. The butler reveals that Liam's parents abandoned him and ran. Liam asks what they were running from, so the butler explains that they dumped the massive debt of the Banfield family on Liam's shoulders so they wouldn't have to deal with it. Liam's great-grandfather, Alistair, was a great man who accomplished many things and made a name for the Banfield family, but Liam's father was a straight bum, so when he took over control of the Banfield family, he ran everything straight into the ground. Now the Banfield family owes a ton of money and has lost the rights to all the farmable resources on their frontier planets. On top of that, their industries have dwindled, so there's almost no tax revenue coming in, and that means they'll never be able to pay back the debt. In other words, Lil Bro is cooked. Elsewhere on planet Hydra, a couple of the citizens are gathered in a bar, and they are talking about how their new lord is apparently a 5-year-old. One of the men there talks about how much he hates this place because the last time a new lord was introduced, they got taxed a lot for no reason, but all they can do for now is hope that things turn out better than it did last time. Meanwhile, Liam is still trying to wrap his head around the whole thing because if the Banfield territory has been poor for so long, why would his parents suddenly decide to drop the burden on their 5-year-old son? But then he realizes that they must have given birth to him specifically because they wanted to drop their debts on him. In his past life, Liam was abused, used, and then flushed away like toilet paper, but he swears that he isn't going to let that happen to him here as well. He asks Amaji to team up with him to make sure his future is a good one, and Amaji is more than happy to assist Liam in any way because he has given her a purpose. Liam is glad that he finally has someone he can fully trust, so he looks forward to working with Amaji. But before that, he decides to give her the 3 laws of robots that will ensure the safety of humanity. The first law is that Amaji is not allowed to cause harm to any human being. Then Liam thinks about it and realizes that he doesn't care about any other human beings, so he decides to go with a different set of laws. First, he says Amaji is not allowed to do anything that would cause harm to him. Secondly, she must obey all orders that Liam gives her unless it would conflict with the first law. And finally, she is to protect herself at all times unless doing so would contradict the first or second law. Now that that's done, Liam tells Amaji that he plans to revitalize the Banfield domain, so he wants to know if she has any ideas on how he could do that. Amaji does a quick search, and she eventually comes up with something, but before she tells Liam, she warns him that since she's an AI, her ideas may not line up with the ideals of the Empire. However, she's equipped to provide administrative support for Liam's governance. However, Liam knows absolutely nothing about this world, so Amaji suggests that he should use an education capsule. It's a special device that can download 10 years worth of information into your head in the span of only 6 months, and it even strengthens your body while you're in there. Liam thinks that's a good idea, but there won't be anyone to take charge of the Banfield domain while he is in there, so he grants Amaji temporary authority to run the domain while he is in the capsule. Brian objects to the idea because doesn't want Liam to entrust the entire domain to an AI, but Liam says it's fine since Amaji would never do anything bad unless he ordered her to. And besides, there's no law saying an AI can't temporarily run a domain, so he is going to leave everything in her hands. Once the education capsule is prepared, Liam is ready to begin the process, but before he goes in, there's something he wants to ask Amaji. He wants to know if she can experience emotions or something similar, and while Amaji says she can't be sure, when Liam asks her to team up with him, her logs cause a cache memory overflow. Or in simple terms, it made her happy. Liam's glad to hear that, so he reminds Amaji that he's leaving everything in her care and goes into the education pod. Once Liam is done cooking, the pod opens up and Amaji is there to greet him. He asked her how long he was inside the capsule, so Amaji informs him that it has been 2 years since he went into the pod. Once Liam gets dressed, Amaji gives him a breakdown of the current economic state of the Banfield territory, and everything seems to have gone smoothly, so Liam thanks Amaji for her hard work. Liam says he wants to go take a look around the territory, so Amaji decides to show him the battleship docks first. This is the first time Liam has actually ever seen the territory in person, and he is especially intrigued by the battle suits, so he asks Amaji if he can try it out, and she is more than happy to arrange a test for him. She informs Liam that the armor automatically performs basic movements, so all he needs to do is imagine the action he wants to perform, and it will happen. He gives it a shot, and once the suit's systems are engaged, Liam is able to walk around in it. Liam wishes he could try fighting with one of these, and to his surprise, Amaji says she can arrange a mock battle for him. So a few minutes later, the chief of the planet's defense force, Masita, arrives to duel Liam. As soon as the match begins, Liam charges forward and strikes at Masita, but even though he blocked the hit, Masita pretends that he lost. He isn't very good at acting, so Liam can tell that he is going easy on him, and he doesn't like it. He orders Masita to take this duel seriously, and Masita can't disobey a direct order from his lords, so as Liam charges at him again, Masita grabs the sword, disarms Liam, and flips him onto the ground. Liam doesn't understand how he could have been defeated so easily, so Amaji explains that the suit's movements are determined by what the user can visualize, so people with years of combat experience like Masita have much better control. Because of that humiliating defeat, Liam orders Brian to find a combat instructor for him immediately. Brian tries to convince him that there's no reason for him to learn how to fight, but Liam is adamant and refuses to take no for an answer. In his past life, he was oppressed by people who had more power than him, so if he plans to live life here as an evil lord, then he needs to be strong. A little while later, Liam meets with a man named Yasushi, and he is a master of the Way of the Flash. Liam is ecstatic because he thinks Yasushi looks really cool, so he introduces himself and says he wants Yasushi to become his instructor. Yasushi agrees to become Liam's teacher, but Amaji doesn't think it's a good idea to hire Yasushi because he seems shady. Liam doesn't deny that Yasushi is shady, but he looks like a samurai, so he is willing to overlook it. If Liam thinks Yasushi will be a good teacher, then Amaji has no right to object, but she asks him to at least verify Yasushi's skill before hiring him, so Liam asks him to perform a little demonstration. Yasushi agrees to the demonstration, so he leads Liam and Amaji to a clearing in the woods where he already has several posts set up. Before he begins, he tells Liam that he is about to demonstrate his secret technique known as the Way of the Flash, and he's never going to demonstrate it again. Liam had better watch closely. Liam understands, so to make sure he can study it later, he asks Amaji to start recording. Yasushi takes his position, then he partially draws his sword and shuts it. In the next second, all the pillars around him split in halves, so Liam is truly amazed by the feat. It should be impossible for a person to move so fast, so Liam asks Amaji to show him the recording in slow motion so he can see how Yasushi did it. But when they watch the footage, no matter how much Amaji slows it down, there's no sign that Yasushi ever actually drew his sword. Liam assumes that Yasushi must have been moving so fast that Amaji's cameras couldn't keep up with him, so he is even more convinced that Yasushi is amazing and asks to become his disciple. Later that night, Yasushi returns to the spot with the pillars, and he can't believe Liam actually fell for a TikTok trend. All he did was slice the pillars ahead of time so they would fall down on their own, and now he gets to collect a cushy salary from Liam without needing to do anything. Meanwhile, the princess is heading for a meeting with the Go's pirates to discuss the possibility of peace. Go's was the one who proposed a truce, but the second she shows up, he tells her she was stupid to come here all by herself. Christiana replies, telling Go's that she didn't come here on her own, and if Go's tries anything, then the entire fleet of the Alliance will blow his ship to smithereens. This was supposed to be a power move, but Go's isn't scared because he knows the Alliance is really on his side. Just then, Christiana receives a report that pirates have closed in on her home planet. And this makes no sense to her, because it should have been impossible for the pirates to get through her planet's defense line. So Goats explains that the alliance she formed isn't exactly perfect. So there are some members involved who were happy to betray her once Goats made them an offer. Just then, Christiana's crew warns her that all the ships in the alliance are pointing their cannons at this ship. She can't believe Goats actually managed to turn her own army against her, but now she has no choice but to listen to Go's demands. Back on Leon's world, he has been training under Yasushi, and he is really exhausted. But no matter how hard he works, he still isn't able to use the Way of the Flash. He asks Amaji if there's a way for him to learn that move, but she's an AI, so she doesn't know much about it. For the past 3 years, Yasushi has only had Liam training the basics of swordsmanship, but Liam is getting bored of that. On the bright side, since Liam has mastered all the basics, Amaji says his fighting ability is a lot better than it was before, but Liam doesn't care about that. What he wants is a flashy move that'll look cool when he does it. That night, Yasushi is in his room reading manga as usual, and he is still finding it hard to believe that he landed a gig this good. Yasushi may be a scammer, but he still knows a bit about sword fighting, so all he has had to do for the past 3 years is teach Liam basic movements, and he has been getting paid an insane amount for it. He hopes this gravy train will last forever, but a moment later, Liam shows up and asks Yasushi to teach him how to use the Way of the Flash. Yasushi immediately says he is quitting. He makes up an excuse and reminds Liam that he said he would only demonstrate the Way of the Flash technique once, so if he is dissatisfied with that, then there's no point in Yasushi remaining here as his teacher. Liam immediately lowers his head and starts begging Yasushi for forgiveness for being so insolent, and Yasushi says he will forgive him this time, but he had better not make the same mistake again. As soon as Liam leaves the room, Yasushi breathes a sigh of relief because he was worried that Liam was going to find out that he is a fraud. There's no way he can teach Liam the Way of the Flash when even he doesn't know how to do it. Just then, Liam shows back up and Yasushi is worried that he might have heard him just now, but Liam just came to tell him that he has something to do tomorrow, so he won't be able to train. Meanwhile, Christiana has been taken hostage by the Go's pirates, and she is currently being held in Captain Go's room. She asks him what he's going to do with her, so Go's explains that he just wanted to give her front row seats to the show. Christiana doesn't understand what he means at first, but then Go's orders all his ships to point their guns at Christiana's planet. She realizes what he is planning to do, so she begs Go's to stop, but it's too late. He orders his men to open fire, and Christiana is forced to watch as her planet is destroyed. Back on Liam's planet, he is still frustrated that he hasn't been able to learn the Way of the Flash yet, but he still needs to attend to his duties as a lord, so he asks Amaji to give him the monthly report. Amaji shows him some graphs detailing the current economic state of the planet, and while the massive debt remains unchanged, the production sectors have been seeing steady growth. Liam is glad he entrusted the governance to Amaji because she's clearly doing a good job, but Amaji says the growth rate is actually a lot slower than she expected it to be. They've made significant investments in things such as the welfare program, but the benefits derived from it are far below what they should be considering the budget and time frame. Liam asks to see the financial reports for the welfare program, and all of his years of accounting finally pay off because he can immediately see the problem. He tells Amaji to summon the man in charge of the welfare program, and a few minutes later, this walking pimple shows up. Liam wastes no time and tells the man that if he has an excuse, he had better say it now. The noble tries to feign ignorance, but Liam knows he has been embezzling funds from the welfare program. He tried concealing it with clever invoice manipulation, but Liam is used to scanning through invoices, so he can clearly tell that something is off. On top of that, the noble switched vendors for the project, so Liam asks him why he did that. The noble tries to claim that the other vendor is better, but if that were the case, then the welfare program would be doing a lot better than this. It is obvious that the noble is as corrupt as can be, but Liam honestly isn't even that mad. After all, he came to this world because he wanted to become an evil lord, so he needs to learn to take advantage of his position like this too. Just then, Amaji informs Liam that there was an embezzlement case opened against the noble, and Liam is surprised that the noble was caught and managed to keep his job. But the noble tells him that the investigation was closed and it was determined that his subordinate was actually the one behind the embezzlement. Liam asks Amaji if that is true, and she confirms it, but no real evidence was ever presented to support the claim that the subordinate was to blame and the noble had the man executed. Liam knows this pattern all too well, so he accuses the noble of framing his subordinate and having him killed. The noble frantically tries to deny it, but Liam knows every word that comes out of his mouth is a lie, so he picks up his sword and slowly walks up to the noble. The man now realizes that Liam isn't going to be fooled, so he starts trying to plead his case and explains that all the other nobles are doing the same thing, so it's perfectly normal to ruin people's lives for his personal gain. After hearing him say that, Liam draws his sword and is about to kill the noble, but Amaji tells him to stop. The noble then starts yelling about how Liam is too young to understand that this is just how the world works, but before he can even say another word, Liam cuts his head off. Liam is still furious, so he orders Amaji to investigate all the nobles on this planet and execute all the corrupt ones immediately, but she tells him he needs to calm down first. This is the first time Liam has ever actually killed somebody, and he is so racked with nerves that he can't let go of the sword. Amaji helps him release his hand, and in regards to his previous order, she tells him it would cause problems if he were to execute all the corrupt nobles. Practically all the nobles are corrupt, so if he kills them all, then there will be no one left to manage the planet. As a compromise, she asks him to prepare a selection of dolls to take over the administrative positions of the planet, and Liam trusts her, so he agrees. A little while later, Liam is back in the loading bay, and since he is now well versed in the basics of sword fighting, he wants to practice with a battle suit again. But before he gets into one, Yasushi shows up and tells him he can never become a great fighter if he uses the regular automated suits, so Liam asks Masita if there's another one he can use, and he is informed that there is a suit which is completely manual, but practically nobody has ever been able to use it. This was the end of episode 3. Subscribe to not miss the next part.